Hello and welcome. Do you happen to have a piece of clothing that always draws compliments whenever you wear it? Well, chances are it's a color that makes your skin come alive because the color works with the undertone of your skin. And knowing the best colors of the undertone of our skin not only helps us choose our best clothing colors, but also our best makeup colors. Let me share a quick example with you of what a difference it makes to wear a color that works with the undertone of our skin. This is a blouse which I absolutely love, but unfortunately it also absolutely washes me out. On the other hand, the top that I'm wearing now makes my skin glow because these colors do work with the cool undertone of my skin. And by the way, if you're not sure of the undertone of your skin, I've included a link in the description box below to a video I did that goes through 9 questions that you can use to help determine the undertone of your skin. Knowing the undertone of our skin will definitely help us know what clothing and makeup colors will help our skin glow, our eyes sparkle, and help us feel fresher and more confident. Today, I'm absolutely delighted that Melissa Nicholson, a woman who started a clothing company called Kettlewell Colours, is here to share her story of starting a unique clothing company that helps each of us harness the power of color to look our fabulous best. Before Melissa joins us, I just want to take a moment to welcome back those of you who are returning to this channel and also welcome those of you who might be here for the very first time. My name is Elise and I'm a working professional makeup artist who's passionate about helping those of us over 50 look like the very best version of ourselves by focusing each Thursday on the makeup tips, techniques, and products that help us look our best now. So if this focus sounds interesting to you and fits your needs, I hope you'll subscribe before you leave today. Now, let me introduce today's guest. In 2004, Melissa Nicholson came up with a solution for something that had been frustrating her for years, not being able to shop for the best colors all year round. In May, she was usually able to find the beautiful greens, pinks, and yellows that had been identified as her best colors to wear in her color analysis, but she'd been hard-pressed to find them in the dead of winter. And it occurred to her if she felt that way, other women must also have those same thoughts. So along with her husband John, she launched Kettlewell Colours, which is an online one-stop shop for women who love to wear color. From their headquarters in Somerset, England, Kettlewell offers everyday wardrobe essentials in 300 shades to women across the world. Melissa and John are also committed to working with small family-run factories who look after their employees and suppliers who source sustainably. The overarching mission of Kettlewell Colours is to help us look and feel fantastic in our best colors so we can build a wardrobe of colors that we love. In fact, I really love what one customer has said about Kettlewell, and I quote, "Kettlewell is an oasis of thirst-quenching color for those lost in a desert of grays and blacks." And as a matter of fact, today I'm wearing a beautiful top from Kettlewell Colours Winter Palette that Melissa was very kind to send my way. And in the interview with Melissa, I'm wearing another one of my favorite tops from Kettlewell, which I purchased from last year's Kettlewell Colours collection. Now, let me welcome Melissa. So Melissa, we are so delighted to have you with us today. Thank you so much for joining us.
Well, thank you for having me, Elise. It's wonderful to be here.
I can't tell you how thrilled I was to be able to find out about your company. It was in the dead of winter, and I was getting so discouraged about all the dark colors that I was seeing and couldn't find anything that really fit my coloring at all. So I'm so grateful for your company.
Oh, well, that's fantastic because that's exactly how I got into color, in fact, because I was shown the colors that suited me and it was the middle of the winter. And of course, my colors are all light and bright and you can't find those colors in the winter. So, I mean, actually, I'm just going to hold up even a third color. I mentioned to you I'm wearing lime as well because, you know, I love all these light, bright colors, but they just say springtime, don't they, to you?
Yeah.
So actually, yes, that's why I started Kettlewell, because I felt the same as you.
Did you have fashion design experience? Are you from the fashion industry originally? How did that all play into starting Kettlewell?
Oh, Yes. Okay. So I did. I worked for a fashion design company in London from the age of 18, actually,
Oh,
up until I left London. So my husband and I had two daughters at the time, and we decided that we wanted to give our kids the lifestyle that we had, i.e., to grow up in the countryside. So, but our jobs weren't commutable. So we started again. We thought, well, what can we do? So I had that experience in fashion. And in fact, I had experience in photo shoots, in marketing, liaising with the fashion designers. I traveled the world. So I had quite a broad range of skills from that experience. And I kept saying to John, I want to do something with color. I want to do something with color. And what I knew was about fashion and production and clothes and fabrics. And so I persuaded him to follow.
Did that take a lot of persuading, Melissa?
Well, he's quite a practical person, but he is good at finance, technology. So we had, some complementary skill sets. But I think, with finance and technology, you can apply that to any idea. He was okay. He went with it.
So is he a full partner in your business, or does he have?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes, he is. And in fact, we hadn't appreciated how complementary our skill sets were until we started. Because, I'm very much I love to be creative. I have lots of ideas. I'm constantly moving. I'm throwing things in the air. And he effectively catches everything and facilitates things and makes sure that we don't go bust, that we're still, and that's the reason we're still here today, 18 years later. He's a safe pair of hands.
Speaking of going bust, what kinds of reaction did you have to the pandemic, and what did you do, and how did you decide to continue?
Yes, that was huge, wasn't it, at the time? Well, funny enough, actually, my husband and I kind of disagreed. So the moment we had that lockdown, when we were all terribly worried, John just thought, well, it's irresponsible to continue. We must close the business down. Now, if you remember, this is my baby. I built it up over all the years, and I just said there must be a way to continue. And after all, our customers are relying on us to provide the color, and color is energizing and lifts your spirits. I feel that what we're providing is essential to people's lives. So he was saying it's not essential. I was saying it is essential for our customers. So anyway, we compromised, and we agreed that we would furlough all our staff to keep them safe. And we brought in our team of 3 children, ranging from 15 to 21. And then we just decided that we would dispatch all the orders that we had in the system. And then we would stop, and we would go home and wait to see what happened. But actually, it continued to grow. The orders kept coming in, and we got busier and busier, and we were working harder and harder. And in the end, we had to bring in a cousin or 2, a bit more family. And then 1 or 2 people came back. And it was incredible, because customers really, really did want that color injection in their lives. They needed, something to lift their spirits. So I think, actually for us, from a sales perspective, it was great. To start with, we fell off a cliff, but then we just gradually, climbed that mountain.
I can well understand that people really needed more color during a very depressing period that we all went through. So thank you for finding a way to continue. Those who aren't aware, I am wearing one of your tops, which I absolutely love. It's the favorite piece in my wardrobe. So you just have a wonderful selection of different colors based on the seasons of the year, correct? Carol Jackson's original Color Me Beautiful theory.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, that's it. So we all, if you look at you and I, we have different coloring. Everybody has their unique coloring. But what we do at Kettlewell is we group our colors into palettes. And I think that's what sets us apart. Okay, we have over 300 colors online, but it's the fact that we code them, and we have an area on our website, Shop by Color, where you can filter the colors into your seasonal palette. So yes, we call them the seasons, but it's actually a group of colors. So once you've identified the group that suits you over another, it's so easy to shop. And what you find is that all your colors work together.
That's what's so stunning to me. Just looking at you and that combination is gorgeous, but I think a lot of people might have trouble combining a couple different colors. How do people
Absolutely.
dip their toe into to all of this? What do you encourage people to do?
Yes, I obviously have been exploring color for many years, and I'm quite, an extrovert in terms of color and color combining. So I have found the colors that make me feel really happy and energized. So I'm wearing a red coral color with turquoise. And for some people, yes, they'd go, oh, I would never do that. But some people have they would work from a softer tonal palette. So we're not all bright. It's not just about wearing bright colors. You can layer your colors in a very soft, smoky tonal way. Equally, you could wear very, very light pastel colors or very deep colors, or you could contrast them. But all of this is something that you learn along the way. And, and again, if you've had your colors analyzed and you understand which group you fall into, what happens is that whatever you choose from that palette actually goes together. So it does make shopping easier. So once you've dipped your toe in the water and discovered a few colors that you think, actually, those really work and the compliments come in, then it becomes easier because you just work from the same palette and you realize they all go together. So even though, like I was holding this up, this is a sort of like a soft lime color, they're all warm, light, bright, fresh colors. I'm not matching, tones of red or tones of blue or tones of green. I can color clash them because that's my essence. That's who I am. And I want to represent that in my colors.
And we all have neutrals that work for us that we can always combine with a color or two.
Absolutely.
I think that was my initial way of putting my foot into the whole stream of color, was getting a neutral first, and then maybe a scarf that's colorful or a piece of jewelry that's colorful, something. And then as you get more accustomed to it, as you say, and you appreciate how you feel and how it lifts your mood, it just makes an incredible difference. And I must say, you mentioned your website, and you have some wonderfully helpful things on your website. Could you tell our viewers about that?
Yeah, so that's what a lot of people ask is, okay, if you know the colors suit you, that's great. But if you're not ready to have a color analysis with a professional, or you just want a bit more information, you can go onto our website and there's a wonderful section. Well, there's two actually that I love. There's one which says shop by color, which is fantastic. I mentioned that earlier. And then there's another one called Explore. Now, within Explore, there's a drop-down box and it says quizzes. And you can go in there and there's just a fun quiz just to start you on your color journey, just to hint at which palette might suit you best over another. And there's style quizzes, and then there's a quiz about the body shape. So just to help people on their journey, so you can experiment, start playing, and see whether you want to know a little bit more. We also have, if you understand the colors that suit you, but you're not sure how to combine them, we also have inspiration on combining colors. We also create a look with one of our models, and then we interpret that into the other color palettes. So there's a section called Shop the Looks. So you can see what it looks like, let's say, in your palette, which I understand is the winter palette. So the cool colors, the cool and in saturated colors. And then you can see how it looks in a very warm and soft palette. Same clothing, but shown in a different color combination.
That is brilliant. And I must say, the examples you have of combining colors are some of the most beautiful photos. And I'll share some of those in this video later on when I do some editing, because they're just gorgeous. Shots of nature, flowers, sunsets. Just stunning things.
Yeah, no, well, thank you. Well, I think once you start looking at color and just looking at nature, suddenly it all comes to life. You might sort of think the world is gray, and then you start noticing color, and literally these colors are everywhere. And I get inspiration from, just going for a walk in the woods or down to the beach, and I just see pebbles and I think, wow, look at the colors there. They're not just gray pebbles. You've got pink and you've got sort of turquoise colors and creams and silvers, and suddenly there are color combinations there for you.
It's so interesting too. I have gotten to the point where if I'm shopping for any clothes, I pull up on my computer the palette from your website and check the clothing against that palette. And
Oh,
it's been so helpful.
oh, that's fantastic. No,
Yeah,
I'm
it really works well.
delighted.
It's just so brilliantly done. Well, I also want to ask you, for someone who knows nothing about the clothing industry, what's your process? Do you actually do all the designs yourself?
Yes, is the answer. I have a team that I work with, and we work together. People used to say to me, "Well, who's the designer?" And I'd be like, "Well, I'm not really a designer, but yes, I do design the clothes." And I think it's just for me, it's a different process because I always look to my customers. I love watching the customers and then trying to dress them and sort of think, look at their body shape, look at their coloring, look at what, or listen to, what their challenges are when they're getting dressed. And then I find the right fabric for that person. And then I start thinking, should it be a V-neck, a scoop neck, a round neck? How shall we put the sleeves? Or should this be fitted, or should it be looser fitting? Should we add a little detail? Should it be textured? Let's add a print, and you start building this design. It just comes, but it's always from the concept is from that customer, and then you bring in other ideas and inspiration. But that's really how we start the designs, is really using a body, and there are various different bodies with different shapes and face shapes and coloring.
And so how far in advance do you work of, for instance, your fall collection? When did you start working on that?
Well, it's always a year.
Oh,
It's
wow.
a year ahead. So I'm at the moment we're mood boarding and looking at ideas for spring, summer 23. So for next spring, summer, autumn, winter, already I'm placing all the orders with the factory. The factory have already started making autumn, winter. It's a rolling process. It's never that we start the designs, finish those, sample them, start the colors, finish those. It's like everything is interwoven. We might have 3 seasons all going on at the same time, but at different stages. So, but definitely a year ahead for concept. But as well as that, we might have styles that we start and there perhaps wasn't room in the collection, or we needed to tweak it. And they may be 2 or 3 years old, and then we'll pull them back in and reinvent them.
Do you pay attention to trends in the fashion industry? And I'm assuming those trends are out there a year or so in advance.
Absolutely. I love watching to see what other people are doing. I love watching trends. And then you just kind of like take an idea from a trend. That's all part of the inspiration. We don't follow like high fashion trends because our customers are a little bit more mature. And I think they're looking for styles that are going to work for them for long term. They don't want fast fashion. They want clothes that work hard for them. So it's always about the quality of the fabrics, fabrics that are going to wash well, colors that are going to last. And, and so really, yes, I would say we look at the trends, we nod to the trends, and then we think about our customer. I always put it back to the customer.
And I have to say that I was so pleasantly surprised, and I shouldn't have been surprised, by the quality of the fabric. You just don't find these days, it's hard to find good quality fabrics in a lot of clothing, because obviously things, are made so they could be manufactured cheaply. And Thank you for keeping those kinds of standards. And I imagine when you first started, obviously you have a wonderful lineup of all different kinds of things, from tops to jackets to scarves. But obviously, I'm sure you started with a smaller number of things. How did you ever find manufacturers that would handle those small orders? That would seem to be an insurmountable issue.
Yes, well, there lies our greatest challenge, was actually trying to get the production started. So we'd go along and visit factories, and they'd look at us and we'd say, oh, we just want 50 pieces in each color, but we want lots of colors. And they'd look at us and go, and how many sizes? And you're crazy, right? And we'd be like, oh, but we can't afford to order more, and we don't have any customers yet, so how are we going to sell them? And it was really, really, really challenging. So, John and I think with our first collection, we're quite critical about it because it wasn't exactly right for the market. But now, I say to him, we actually did it. Now I look back and I think, the factories, they just don't want to work with, brands like us, because it's about the worst, it's about the most nightmare production. small quantities, lots of colors, it's really, really hard to manage for them. And we wanted really good quality, and we wanted the prices to be reasonable, and we wanted everything. So you just have to find your way. And at the end of the day, it's about finding a connection, with your supplier. And that's what we did. We built up a relationship with one of the suppliers, and we said, trust us, let's work together. And we just found a way. We just kept pushing and thinking, well, let's just find a way, find a solution, with each style.
The demographic of your buyers changed over the years?
I would say it's pretty similar. Age is a funny thing, really, because anyone can wear our styles. Like my daughters wear the styles, but I suppose because it's like with a more mature customer, they, like I was saying before, they will invest in the quality. It means more to them. So that's why our demographic would be our core demographic is 45 to 65, and then it's sort of 10 years either side of that. And I think right from the beginning, that's where we sort of pitched it as well. But I think in the very, very beginning, I think our styles were a little bit too casual for the market. We realized that we needed, if we're going to charge a sort of mid-price range, it needed to be a little bit more special. So rather than just, a sort of very natural t-shirt, we needed to elevate that and just, provide those building blocks for ladies who are either going to work or who are going out, socializing or on holiday. They just want they want to look more put together.
And how did you reach that audience? How did you initially let people know about what you were doing? What was your most successful form of advertising and marketing?
Well, our initial route to market was always through these, the image consultants, the color analysts. That was always going to be the way. But that threw up a set of challenges as well. And I suppose, our biggest learning curve has always been trying to understand, the different types of people. So even within, from one image consultant to another, we realized they had completely different styles. Their customers were really different. So we had to reach out to each of them individually and to gain their trust as well. So it was very slow, but as soon as we got one or two on board who supported us, it was, it was amazing. And then, we also had some fantastic PR in the early days. We had some write-ups in the papers, so that sort of helped us. And then in more recent years, we've been working with a marketing agency who find us, similar people to our customers, and we mail catalogs to them.
Also, you have something on your website that I think is fascinating too, that has really built up a community, something called the Kettlewell Color Club. Can you talk about that a little bit?
I love our color club. I'm very proud of our color club. Well, this is something that we started, or we talked about, literally just before the pandemic. I think we started it in February 2020. So as the pandemic was accelerating. And it was really, I suppose it was a platform for us to engage with our customers and to learn what they were looking for, what they liked, what they didn't like, what they wanted. So it was really just that. It was sort of a space for us to engage with them. And then, of course, when the pandemic hit, we had a wonderful color expert, our in-house color expert called Jo, who did these live tutorials, and she was just absolutely brilliant with them. And we found that there were people who were joining and learning from her, and then they were posting pictures of themselves wearing Kettlewell and showing their combinations, and then they would ask her opinion and she would help them, and then it just went on from there. And then all the customers would support each other and say, I love that, or how about trying a scarf in this color? And then they would try that. And so really they were just posting pictures of themselves wearing Kettlewell and then getting feedback. And with that feedback, which was all just wonderfully encouraging and positive, they learned more, they grew in confidence, and other people came in and learned from them as they grew up and became brilliant color ambassadors. And even, now Jo, she does a weekly live where she talks about all things color. She has, sometimes she talks about the neutrals, how to access those, sometimes about the prints, sometimes about color psychology, sometimes about, anything to do with color. She would do a tutorial. So, and the customers really engage with it and enjoy it.
Is that on a particular day of the week, or does that vary?
Fridays.
Fridays.
It's Fridays.
Okay.
Yeah, it tends to be 1:00 UK time, but it's recorded, so you can go in the next day and watch it.
Great. And you are based in England, but
Yes.
You have basically opened up your market in the US as well, I understand, recently.
Yes, and we love the US because, again, in lockdown, I don't know, the US customers just came flooding to us. I think in the UK, we're quite reserved, and so we don't like trying new things. And in the US, there was something about the psychology. The US connected with our concept and the color, and they were braver and they started trying things. We'd say, well, try this. And they did, and they felt good and they wanted more. We designed a website, especially for the US, and we're able to offer free shipping and returns for orders over $100. It works really, really well with the US, and we can offer all our products now. Initially, we started with a smaller range, but gradually, now we offer the full collection, and we send some catalogs around. We distribute catalogs in the US too. You
have sizing help too on your website, don't you?
We do. Sizing, it's an interesting one. I always find sizing really difficult, but so the middle size, what I call an M, in the UK would be a 12, but in the US it would be you go 4 sizes down, so it would be an 8. So I think that's the way to look at it, from the middle. So it would be 8, 6, 4, or 8, 10, 12, 14 is what we do. But again, what I was saying about the sizing is that some people like their clothes to be more fitted and others want them more loose fit. So we do have filters on the website where we will actually give you that information. We'll say, for instance, this is a semi-fitted style. If you're between sizes, take a size down or up, depending on your personal preference, because the sizing is literally a guide, and it's, some people will be like, well, I would like that camisole to be fitted. So, I'll wear a size S, but actually in this blouse, I want it to be looser fit. So I'm going to wear a size L, so it's just literally a number, it's a letter, and it's a guide.
Do you ship to other English-speaking areas, Canada, Australia, New Zealand?
Yes, we ship all over the world.
Oh, okay.
All over the world, yes. So we work with a logistic partner called Globally, and they organize all the duties and customs and everything. So when you go onto the website, they will give you the local currency prices.
Oh, wonderful.
There will be the prices, including all the duty and taxes.
So do you have plans for expansion in any way? Are you looking in a different area of the market at all? What's ahead for Kettlewell?
What's ahead? Well, it depends on whether you ask myself or my husband. He's quite cautious, and and I'm an optimist, and I also, like I said before, I have lots of ideas. I would one day, I would love to have a bricks and mortar store. I'd love to have a color emporium. I'd love to do, I feel like there's so much more I could do with color. And, but that's a bit of a dream. But in the immediate future, we're just testing the water with menswear. We've got a couple of styles that we're just introducing this season. And then again, people are always saying, can you do more sizes? Could you do more woven? Because most of our products are jersey fabrics. We do have knitwear as well, and a few woven, but there are always more product ranges that we can expand.
I cannot believe other people are not going in this direction, that you don't have more competitors. Not that I want you to have competitors, but do you see any clothing manufacturers headed in the direction of this, where we might see more colorful clothing for more different designers, or do you just think that's not something that's going to happen in the clothing industry?
No, I don't know, really. I think, I suppose because we've really, really had to fight hard to get to where we've got to. I know how difficult it is. And I think for a lot of brands, when When they go to a supplier and try to produce a lot of color, it is really, really hard. And I think unless you understand the whole kind of concept of color and the groups of colors, I don't know. I don't know whether others will just look at it and go, well, that's not for me. I mean, there is more color on the market, but I suppose what's unique about us is giving the information, helping people to find the colors that suit them. Because really, when you find the color that suits you, it's like a superpower. And then, anything is possible.
Over the years, I would sort of look ahead to see what the Pantone color of the year was going to be, because I knew a lot of fashions would come out in that color range. But I was always so disappointed if it wasn't anything that worked with my color palette. So thank goodness there are people like you who, that doesn't matter. We can always find something, no matter what time of year it is, that's going to work for us. So, well, what haven't we touched on that you'd like to touch on? Anything else you'd like to add about what's going on with Kettlewell or what's coming up?
Well, I was going to relate it to makeup, really, because I know that's your speciality. And I thought it would be interesting for people to know that, again, whatever colors you put here, the light reflects onto your face. So if that is harmonious light, so this is the red coral, which is one of my colors, it's reflecting harmonious light into my face, which evens out the skin tone and just gives me that extra little help. Now, it's the same with makeup, because, of course, if I'm going to, whatever colors I put all over my face, they need to be in harmony with my natural skin tone. So I've got a very warm skin tone, so I need to ensure that anything that goes on my face is warm. So color works here. Hair, really, really important that the hair color is balancing with your skin tone and balancing with the clothes that you wear. So it all goes together and creates this harmony. And when you create that harmony for yourself, that's when you hit that really happy place in terms of color.
Oh, so beautifully said. I think it's interesting too that I get a lot of questions about, as we get older, our skin gets paler. Our undertone doesn't change, but we get paler. And then, of course, hair changes. We might go silver, we might go gray, we might have a little of everything going on. What do you recommend for as those changes happen? Do you still stay within your color range? Do you go lighter, darker, brighter? What is your recommendation?
Well, I think it's different depending on your unique coloring. So for instance, for some people, and I think I'm going to be one of those, as I get older, I think I reach for more brighter colors, but equally there might be somebody else who, when they go gray, perhaps if they're already a soft season, like a summer or an autumn, they might even go more soft and tonal. They might suit those shades better. But for you and I, both of us, our seasons are quite clear and contrasting. So it's quite likely that when we go gray, we're going to need to add the color. That would be what naturally would happen. So some people go from being very deep coloring and then their hair goes very white perhaps, and they'll just want to lighten and brighten their colors. So again, it's understanding your skin tone and knowing, what works for you, which palette to use. This
has been wonderful. I have so been looking forward to talking with you because I so enjoy your work and all the effort and time you put into making it a lot easier for us to shop and get the kinds of colors that are going to make us really look our best. So thank you so much, Melissa, for your time today.
Oh, it's an absolute pleasure. I really enjoyed it. And thank you for inviting me, Elise.
And I look forward to seeing what's coming up in the fall. Take care.
You too.